Hey, good day, everyone. Welcome to Deribit Live, September 12th, 2024. We still got lots of people rolling into the room here. That's Cor from Holland. Good to see you. Valentin, Johannes, good day. All right. And as a reminder to everyone, we will have Q&A at the end. We can chat, ask questions, tell us your problems, whatever. The last 15 minutes or so, 10, 15 minutes. And we'll just wait for a few more people to come in. And while we're waiting, I noticed that I'm glad this didn't happen on September 11th. Because, you look at those, what happened on this day in history? Wow. But September 12th, interesting. One of my favorite singers, musicians of all time, Johnny Cash, died.
Huh.
I like that guy. I never did see the Johnny Cash movie. I think that Joaquin Phoenix, didn't he?
Walk the Line. Yeah, I saw it. Yeah, because I'm a Johnny Cash fan too.
Was it a good movie?
Yeah, I was entertained by it, and
I'll have to watch it one of these days. Hey, I got Def, Vladimir. Good to see everyone today. I wish I could say that the markets were rip roaring, but let's face it, the last few weeks have been. Kind of the last part of August was right up till September. Not a surprise, though. I mean, we had, last year during the summer we had a lot of, but it'll wake up, and I don't know. Maybe now that we're seeing a little bit of bullish action, a little bit, maybe we're going to start to creep back up into the mid of the range, up in the 60s. Who knows? We'll see. But I'll share my screen in a moment and we'll have a little chat about that. Vladimir says, yeah, we're holding levels, which is the most important thing. I agree. That bottom didn't break, just kind of drifted down there and annoyed everyone and made it a little bit difficult to trade. So I think the best policy now, and I think we've said this before, is just to kind of back off a little and, not overtrade. There's nothing there to do. Don't just overtrade. It's tempting. That's why I get my dopamine hit trading FX or futures and other things, so that there's always something going on, so I don't overtrade Bitcoin options. All right, let me go ahead and I'm going to go to the slides, and here's our topic today. What's our topic? There it is. How to convert your worthless dollars to Bitcoin with Deribit's new cross-currency margin feature. Now, I'm going to be honest here. If it was just me making the title, I would have said how to convert your dollars. But Richard had to have his 2 cents and convert your worthless dollars. It's funny though.
We've got to get people's attention.
Yeah. It's like, Richard, how would you like to be? Yeah, how would you like to be paid today, Richard? Would you like in worthless dollars or Bitcoin?
Today, good question. But yeah, gold bars
made me laugh, anyways. Yeah. Typical stuff.
Well, I mean, look, every currency goes to zero in time.
It's true. It's true. Every single one.
And the US seems to be on a path of self-destruction at the present time. So we can only assume that it's not too far away that the US dollar becomes toilet paper.
Yeah, it's like all of a sudden these things happen typically, and I'm not saying it's going to or not, but I think it's inevitable at some point. And I think you've said too that you expect Bitcoin someday in the future will go to zero too.
Yeah, I do.
It's 100 years from now, who knows? But
it won't be that long. But the thing is that dollars and Bitcoin all rely on the same infrastructure, so they rely on abundant energy, abundant technology, and information networks. And also human consensus, and US dollar relies also on the US imperial fleet to back up claims. But in the end, I think they're both as vulnerable as each other. There's nothing to stop anybody.
Oh, I don't know. Did you freeze up there?
You froze for me, but I didn't. Did I freeze for you?
I don't know. Maybe someone can tell us who froze. Whose fault was this, basically?
Who blinked?
I want to know whose fault. Yeah.
But I think in the meantime, like anything, any kind of exotic asset, like modern art or racehorses, or anything that the Yakuza would use to transfer value without the attention of the taxman, Bitcoin has a value and a use, and its value is going to depend on largely its utility in terms of transferring value, right?
Speaking of that, I think I read an article maybe a week or two ago that said that the luxury watch market was like at real lows.
Yeah,
like prices have been lower than they've been in a long, long time. So if you're into buying in watches, now would be a good time. In fact, we have a mutual friend.
No, I said a year ago to dump your watches. Because to me, it's like a completely ridiculously arbitrary thing, and there's no limit on supply. I mean, if you've ever been to Zurich, I was there recently. I mean, there's a watch shop every 10 yards. They're making these damn things all the time, right?
We have a mutual friend. He's probably not watching today. He's an American, but he lives in Germany for the most part. I remember once he told me, maybe 10 or 15 years ago, about buying and selling Rolexes and different watches. I was like, what? He goes, yeah. He goes, I've owned probably every type of watch you can imagine over the years, buy and sell. I'm like, really? He goes, yeah, there's all these networks. And kind of before the internet, there was this loose network. Like if you have a 1964 Aston Martin or something, there's this network of people around the world who are, buying parts and doing stuff, and that grew with the internet. And he buys and sells thousands of watches. It's quite amazing. I don't know.
I think these things are good to buy and sell as long as you don't get caught with them, because there's great spreads on them, right? So I mean, anything that you can fool people that there's value in it, you can charge a spread.
Yeah, and I think that a lot of times he was picking them up when they were distressed. So people were really eager to sell, and he got them at great deals, and he could flip them out. No, I guess no different than real estate or anything else. But hang on, let me just go ahead, and I'm just going to share my screen.
Crypto tokens.
Or your crypto tokens, exactly. You can see my chart. Is it full screen?
Yeah.
Look normal. Okay. All right. So this is the Bitcoin silly chart. Actually, I'm not going to look at ETH. There's nothing exciting. There's nothing exciting here either. The unicorns are intact. And as Vladimir mentioned, the range held. Just kind of went down, scared some people down here, worked its way back up, and it's just lounging and lingering. It's like a Cranberries song, just lingering down here. But are we going to move up to mid-range? I'd say it's kind of likely, to be perfectly honest. And if we look at the liquidation heat map, there's not a lot going on. It's like, oh, look, 57.5, 58.5. It's going to hit one of those. Yeah, well, no shit. I mean, if it's going to move anywhere, one of those are going to get hit. But, there's not a lot happening right now. But I wouldn't be surprised to see it, creep up from where it's at and end up, maybe it'll hit its head on 62 and fart around here for a while, and maybe give people a lot of hope and spike to 66, 67, come back down. I don't know. Right? That's typical Bitcoin fashion, and then make everyone depressed and go back down to 60. Who knows? But the point is this range is holding. It's been here for a long, long time. I mean, if I'll have to go to a 4-hour chart here, but we came up here way back in February. So it's been a long time holding this range. Now it's a pretty big range, but we've had pretty extremes on each side, but it's still good trading. It'd be nice if we had a little bit more activity, a little bit more oomph behind the move. So quick move up to 66, great. Give us an opportunity to, buy some puts or sell call spreads or whatever we're happen to be doing if we're contrary. Same thing on the downside. You don't want to be too aggressive selling puts on the downside here, because whatever breaks, right? And that's what it's threatened to do last few times it's come down. It's lingered on the bottom more than it's lingered at the top in general. So one last thing I'll touch on, ETF inflows after 8 days straight or something, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like 7 days straight of negative inflows or outflows. We had a couple days of inflows, nothing crazy, but yesterday was another outflow day. Not a lot, but we can see Fidelity positive again. It's interesting how Fidelity is now being positive quite a bit. What's Bitco? What is that? I'm not sure.
I forget now. Yeah, Fidelity is interesting, right? I wonder whether their sort of marketing machine has finally sort of started ramping up. Maybe I haven't checked. But what I also thought was interesting about yesterday's outflows was GBTC, Grayscale Bitcoin Trust had probably the smallest outflow I've seen, and that's been sort of the big drag, isn't it, on uptake, because I think tokens are being recycled out of Grayscale and into others because of the fee. So if Grayscale is sort of, I mean, it's one day is only one day, but if Grayscale has finished its outflows, then there's that could arguably be seen as one more reason to be a little bit positive.
Yeah, and I have no idea what their total amount of holdings are. I literally have no idea on Grayscale. But that's a good point. It could be a little bit of a positive look. So
I've just been looking at sentiment today. So sentiment is a bit in the options market. It's a bit better. So also the vol skews are a little less negative out to a month. We were seeing like minus 15% in 1 week last week, and now it's minus 6%. It's still not positive, but it's it's not the market isn't terrified anymore. It's just mildly concerned.
Yeah. All right. Just before we get into our topic, quick reminder: you can join us every day in our live streams at roguetrader.academy or Patreon, Rogue Trader Academy. Join us over there. Talk each day. We talk on every Monday. We have a members call, which is a lot of fun. Ask Me Anything call with our members. Got a lot of smart cookies over there, and have access to our real-time trade alerts. All right, so let's talk about these worthless dollars being converted into Bitcoin with the cross-margin system.
And right at the front, I'll say, sorry guys, but I do have a meeting at past, so I need to drop off at past. So if you've got questions to ask, do ask them early.
Yep.
Vladimir's got a question here. Same question before.
We should just cover the topic first.
Yeah, you can cover that. So Deribit recently changed their margin system, improved their margin system, and allows you now to do cross-currency margin. And I can show you this on my screen.
Yeah.
Live demo of. Not going to be too exciting, but
no, I don't think it's going to be very exciting.
Margin isn't the most exciting thing. So here's our meme machine book, which isn't doing very much at the minute. So you see this at the moment. We've got segregated portfolio margin, and what this means is that. Oh, look at that flickering about.
Yeah, it does that for me occasionally too. I'm not sure why.
So this is segregated margin, which means that the Bitcoin in my account is contributing to my Bitcoin positions, and the Ethereum in my account is contributing to the Ethereum positions. But I can change this because Deribit have recently upgraded their wallet system, so you can now store USDT and USDC in the wallet. And if you change your margin system here, change margin, and you change it to cross portfolio margin.
That doesn't mean it's angry.
No, it means that it's cross currency. And I'll just do this now. Apply acceptance service changed. Bam, all done. And I think the margin output thing changes now, and it still wiggles around, but it shows you what currencies you've got lying around. And so now, if you hold USDT or USDC in your account, you can actually buy or sell Bitcoin options. I'm about to sneeze. Excuse me. So that opens up a new thing for us, because it means we can just dump dollars, our worthless dollars, onto Bitcoin, onto Deribit, and we can actually see if we can get into Bitcoin at a better price, because we can just go to the options screen. I'm going to go to the 27th, for example, and let's say we think we're at a kind of a floor, but we're not really sure about it. But we could say, well, let's see if we can get into Bitcoin at, say, 58K, because we're feeling a bit more comfortable. But actually, if I sell the 58K put, I'm going to receive 400 basis points of Bitcoin per Bitcoin notional, which is equivalent to $2,300 or thereabouts.
You might want to zoom on your screen a bit, Richard.
Oh yeah,
probably
there we go.
Yeah, that's a little better.
There we go. So you see here the 58,000 puts are trading at $2,300. So I'm going to, if I sell 1 Bitcoin's worth of notional, I'm going to receive 398 basis points of a Bitcoin in premium, and I am essentially now long the market. Of course, if the market goes up more than 400 basis points, i.e. up to 60,200 or more, then I'm not going to get the full benefit of owning Bitcoin. But I am going to get some benefit because this 400 basis points of Bitcoin is going to be sitting in my account and accruing value. But on the flip side, if the market goes down to say 56,000, well, I can treat this. I'm going to get cash settled. It's going to want to take some Bitcoin off me or some dollars off me. But what I can actually do is say, you know what, I'm going to assume that I've been physically settled in Bitcoin, and at expiry, I'm going to buy 1 Bitcoin for. I'm going to pay 56,000. But remember, I've already received $2,300 from the sale of the put. So actually, even though I decided to get into Bitcoin at 58K on the 12th of September, come the 30th of September or 27th, whatever, I'm actually getting into Bitcoin at 56. And because I was happy to be owning Bitcoin, this has allowed me to get in at a discount to what I would have been at prior. Now I can go further than this. I can be more aggressive. I can say, you know what, I want to get in at I want to get in now at 58K, but I still want to get paid. So I can actually sell the 60,000 put. So I'm already in the money. I'm going to receive 584 basis points or $3,400. So I've got $3,400 of premium to help me if I'm wrong. Now, remember that this is intrinsic and extrinsic together, but if I look across to the corresponding call, you can see that 288 basis points of it, or $1,700-ish of it, is actually extrinsic value. So even though I'm buying in at 60K, while the market's at 58, I'm receiving a credit to help me if I'm wrong again. And I can play that all the way through. I can, and if I'm really worried about being wrong, what I could do actually is sell the 58K put, for example, and then go and buy some calls. I don't know, the 66K calls in like size, I don't know, 3 or 4 Bitcoins of it, and I'm still receiving a credit. I'm still effectively getting into Bitcoin at a cheaper price if the market goes down. And if the market goes ballistic up, I'm not only going to not miss out on my Bitcoin gains, I'm going to accelerate my Bitcoin gains because I'm going to be long gamma on 4x calls. And this is all comfortable to do because I am internally happy to be buying Bitcoin at 58K. So as long as I've got $58,000 worth of dollars sitting in my account, I'm perfectly happy and see it as no risk at all to be playing around selling one Bitcoin of a 58K put or a 60K put, or playing around with selling the put, buying some calls. And so that's it. Super simple, right? It's just a way of trying to edge into the market better than you would do if you were dollar cost averaging or any of those strategies. You can actually also use this to dollar cost average in, right? You can do a little bit. You can do point whatever Bitcoin per day, right, over 10 days.
And that's a good point. And and a lot of people don't think of that. They think, oh, as soon as it goes against it, they get stressed. But no, you were happy to buy it at that price, so just be okay with it. You could buy downside protection, but it's like something a cash secured put, except in this case, they aren't cash settled. So as Richard said, if the price does go up, you're kind of missing out on a lot of the upside. That's why you can say, well, you know what, you could buy some calls too, so you can participate. Versus if you're in the stock world and you sell cash secured puts and and you get assigned and the stock takes off, hey, you're participating. It can go to the moon and you're making money. In this case, you're not. So
you just have to remember to assign yourself, basically.
Yeah. So I think it's great that Deribit has introduced this, and a lot of people too get stressed out. Let's say they've got 30 or 40 or 100 Bitcoins. They're always stressed about, oh, geez, here's my Bitcoin. Should I just be hedging with puts? Should I be moving into cash and into Bitcoin? And we don't know what the market's going to do. So it's nice to say, you know what? Hey, if I've got X amount of Bitcoin, maybe I'll split half into USDT, half in Bitcoin, and I can still sell aggressively if I need to, because I can just do it because I've got the cross margin system. Question from Vladimir. We've got 9 minutes. I still have some questions I had before. Sorry about that, but I'm still struggling. Okay. How much should I buy calls when I think it's good to do it? So, for example, right now it's a good idea to buy 70K calls, or how much puts when I think it's a good idea to buy puts? Oh boy.
Well, it totally depends on your risk appetite, how much you're prepared to lose, right? And it depends on the strike and so on. I mean, if you're going to ask me how many one overnight calls to buy on an expiry day after a volatile period, paying say 1 basis point for a 63K call, well, you could probably risk about 20, right? 20 Bitcoins of it, and your maximum loss is 20 basis points. You're probably going to lose your 20 basis points. But if it does pop up to 66, you're going to make a shit ton of money.
A lot of me will be buying drinks for the next year, let me tell you.
On the other hand, if you want to go out to December and buy some 30 Delta calls, here you're going to be paying $3,000. So if you're going to be buying 20 of them, it's going to cost you a Bitcoin to do it.
That's where people usually like to sell a spread, right? So it reduces the cost a little bit, or even a 1x2, and maybe you can negate the cost, but you'll limit your upside for sure.
I was going to actually say around this assigning. If anyone from Deribit's listening, I think a really good feature that would be really cheap for you to add is to have an option when people a checkbox when people buy or sell an option, is to select whether you want it delivered in cash or in dollars, or physically assigned or not. And it doesn't matter, right? It all comes out the same liquidity pool, because in the end, if you say I want to be assigned, well, all Deribit would do is go and liquidate you into a Bitcoin, right? They'd sell some dollars and buy Bitcoins, and you'd be delivered. And I think that would be a nice little feature.
That would be. I suspect a lot of people would use that put selling strategy to accumulate the underlying. Yeah,
I'd use it. I just stick a bit of my salary in every month, and
So. Like a dollar cost averaging program. Yeah. Question from Dev. How do you define how far out you go when buying calls?
Certainly depends on your strategy and your outlook. One thing we like doing is buying long dated calls and selling short dated calls. So we're doing that then purely on a technical hedge basis, as opposed to any kind of opinion. You might take the view that, along with Michael Saylor, that Bitcoin will be at $300,000 by Christmas, in which case you'd be quite happy going and buying $100,000 calls in December on Bitcoin. Although I don't remember whether he meant 2024 or 2025.
I don't know.
So be careful about that. But 100,000 calls at 10 Delta at the minute.
And I was thinking this morning. I got up early and I was having a coffee, and I was thinking about our strategies we're doing are kind of not doing so well right now because the market's been really depressed. That's fine. It'll change. You have to have patience. And we run a lot of strategies. I thought one of our public strategies should maybe be a long gamma strategy. And it's not something that we kind of normally do. We'll do that at times. We'll shift a portfolio to long gamma. And there's lots of people who run long gammas, but I think we should do that. And I think because it's a polar opposite to most of what we're doing, it'd be nice to see the results.
Yeah.
Although it's a little hard to sit there sometimes and watch an account burn through cash, thinking, it's like that meme, the guy with the stick, poking. It's like, okay, come on, do something, right? It'd be like that every day.
Yeah, so that's why I quite like buying long dated gamma and then selling short dated gamma, or buy long dated and sell short spreads.
Yeah.
Because at least you give yourself half a chance to pay for it before you roll the dice on whether you're going up or down.
Mm-hmm. And long. We have a mutual friend again who used to be an options floor trader in Chicago, and his rule was, now he was mostly trading options on, I think ETFs, typically most of his volume. But he had a rule every night when they close shop, they're long gamma. Because you don't know what you're going to wake up to, the market news, and it's a good policy. Yeah, you're paying; it's just insurance. But most traders don't do that. But if you're serious about risk management, what can I say? All right. Any last questions before we wind up? We're a couple minutes earlier than usual.
Yeah, it's a bit of a short one this week. I'm sorry about that. This meeting sort of came in suddenly, and I'd forgotten I had the webcast. And
well, we're only supposed to be 30 minits anyways. We just kind of get used to running 5 or 10 minutes late. But
this is a perennial problem for both of us, is running our mouths.
It's like, what nonsense are going to spew this week? Too much fun. We got a lot of great people join us all the time. We get a lot of really good questions. So fantastic stuff. All right. So this week, hey, steady she goes. Got a little bit of bullish sentiment coming back into the market. Let's see. Maybe by our next Deribit Live next week, maybe we'll be up in the 60s. I kind of hope so. Actually, let's just wait till Friday's expiry.
My kind of gut feeling for September, and please don't make any trades on the basis of this, because my gut feelings are often wrong, which is why I'm not sitting on a yacht right now, is that we would have a shitty beginning of first 2 weeks in September, just because August was so shitty that shittiness wasn't going to stop, right? And anytime soon, because it never does, right? It always drags it out longer than you care to, look at your screen every morning and oh god, not again, But I think 2 weeks is enough time for people to deal with their dread of looking at their screen, go and enjoy the sunshine, hold their children for now and again, and get calm again. Stop being so fearful and say, screw it. The market's going to do what it's going to do. And I think that's where we get to at the end of this expiry. So this weekend.
All right.
And I then think people are going to be much more thinking, you know what, this Bitcoin thing might go up. Maybe I will stay in it or buy a few, or I do think that we'll start to see it gently rally in the second half of September. And this is purely based on my quantum entanglement with the universe, and my brain being a sort of a quantum antenna, right? I'm just feeling the zeitgeist out there. That's where this is coming from. There's no technical analysis. There's nothing that you can pin on, right? That's just how I feel about it.
You're like the Tesla of trading. You want a couple quick questions? Doesn't positive gamma imply negative theta? Yes, it does.
Yes, it does. You have to pay to play.
Switching plus or minus theta every day is going to cost a lot of fees. Yeah, you got to realize, though, when I was talking about it in this case as a floor trader, and their fee structures and retail. But think about it. Overnight, you want to buy overnight protection every day. It's going to cost you next to nothing. And I'm willing to pay those fees, because if Bitcoin decides to move 11%, well, that long gamma is going to pay you.
And if you made, say, 30 basis points in the day, what do you care if you spend 10 basis points on downside protection overnight, just in case the Japanese do something stupid, right? Yeah, you still won. Yeah. And I think it's really hard to get into that mindset of, guys, I've got to drop.
Yeah. Hey, that's it for this week anyways. Thanks so much, everyone, for joining us. Great show. Let's reconnect next Thursday, and let's hope that we get up in the 60s. Maybe we'll get a little bit of Bitcoin love. We'll see you next Thursday, everyone.